Andy, couldn't you have more of a twinkle in your eye like your father?
More twinkle.
Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Welcome back to another episode of Podcast 43. I'm your host, Chris Borg, and I'm joined by the lovely
Cody Workman, host of Podcast 43. And I am joined by
Fulton Collins, another host of this amazing show we've put together.
yeah, so I mean, I guess we're continuing down our Andy Hardy marathon with another two Andy Hardy films. This time we got The Hardys Ride High from 1939, directed by the lovely George B. Seitz, and
The loyal
George B. Seitz, and then another Andy Hardy film, Andy Hardy Gets Spring Fever, also from 1939, but not directed by George Seitz, actually by W.S. Van Dyke. So I think we got a lot to delve into. I definitely think that Andy Hardy Gets Spring Fever will be getting more of the time on this episode because I think it has a lot more going on for it that's a little bit more interesting and there's much more to talk about. But I guess we should just get Andy Hardy, the Hardys Ride High out of the way before we really kind of go in deep on why Andy Hardy gets spring fever. So I'll let you take it away, Cody.
Alrighty. So the first film that we're talking about is Ride High with the Hardys. Now, or sorry, it's the Hardys Ride High. Kind of swap that around a little bit. This is the sixth film in the series. Also, apologies, listeners. I'm coming down from a cold, so I'm going to sound like I've smoked a bunch of cigarettes, which is pretty important to this particular film because this is an interesting premise. Judge Hardy is believed to be the heir to this $1 million estate that an attorney shows up and says, "Hey, Judge, there's a estate, or are you, in fact, the great grandson of this?" I think it's like a Civil War general. And are you able to prove your lineage? The judge is pretty much able to do so. And all of a sudden, the Hardys become millionaires and they move back to this giant mansion in Detroit, Michigan, which the Detroit scenery is hilarious here. Like they make it out like Detroit is like the nightclubs in Detroit seem like the greatest thing in the world. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And this particular film I really liked. And because the opening, as you know, we have the classic case that goes before the judge. It is a pretty amazing situation of a grown man who is suing his wife for buying too much items for herself, like, dresses and purses and all of this, pretty standard stuff. And he just simply can't afford it despite having a very nice job. And this mirrors the film when all of a sudden the Hardys become millionaires and the children start acting just ridiculously. They go crazy with the money. And to bring it back to the smoking, there's a really incredible bit where Andy feels in order to be a man, he must smoke. And between him practicing with Polly to the infamous cigarette case that ends up at the end, it's a really interesting movie. I ended up really liking this because I think it is, there's a strong moral here. I was pretty invested in is he actually the heir? Is he not the heir? And by the end of the movie, I was like, you know what? This is a funny, wholesome way to end this movie. Money's not everything. It's always important to be honest. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, much more than Out West with the Hardys. This felt
Um,
like a nice little return to form. But I
I think
know you both disagree.
I don't disagree. I think it's okay. I think that it doesn't it works in some ways, but I don't think it fully succeeds because I think that something that's a little that I'm a little tired of with these movies is the morals are so obvious. Like they very much try to like bring the point home like so strongly that there's not really a lot of room for any subtlety or nuance or anything, even if I do, agree with the message. However, something that I really did enjoy about this movie that I was really blown away with was the fact that it actually explores Aunt Millie's character in a way that they
Mm,
haven't in the previous films,
yes.
because she's just always been standing on the sidelines, going along with whatever happens and having very limited amount of dialogue throughout these first five films. But in this one, she really does have an interesting B plot where she discusses what she wants in life and how she wants to find happiness and get married and find love. And you see her explore that. And there's really some tragedy in this story, uh, because she finds somebody that she thinks is a good suitor for her, while they're flying to Detroit from Idaho, and they strike up a conversation and they talk, and this guy gives her his business card and she goes out on a date with him, but it turns out that he's actually just trying to sell her insurance.
Yes. It's so tragic.
And
It
so
is.
she gets really sad because she's so happy and she's dressed up really nice and everybody's noticing how much more lively she seems, but
Yeah.
then she gets
Some
really
of those
really
lines are
sad.
brutal. Like,
Mm,
Yeah,
oh
I mean,
wow, Aunt Millie's actually pretty.
yeah,
Like, come
yeah.
that stuff.
on. This was not an unattractive woman who put on makeup and then becomes like it. It's a little mean. I thought that was a little like definitely dated. You would not include that in a movie today.
Definitely. I I do think that like it was nice though to give her like an actual like personality, and like she actually like did stuff in this one and
Yeah.
was a B plot.
And she, I think she's like middle aged, right? Like she's
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
it's kind of nice to see that sort of romance with an older character, especially at this time of like this time in movie history, especially like in classic Hollywood. We aren't really seeing um a lot of movies about, elderly, not that she's elderly, but like, middle-aged, slightly older people falling in love or dealing with relationships. It's just not really. I mean, I just watched God's Work, the William Wyler movie, and that's a great example of a movie that it's kind of an outlier that talks about marriage when it related to like aging and whatnot. And this film reminded me of that. Like it is kind of a interesting way that they handle the subplot that I certainly is, I mean, completely missing from all the other films.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, she's great in the movie too. I think. I mean, it's one of the most compelling stuff in the whole movie. Um, Fulton, what did you think of the film?
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement with both of y'all. It's just, I think I was just feeling the tension of the seriality of like the Andy Hardy narrative that we've gotten so far, and I think like, well, I think, truth be told, I woke up and started watching this, so maybe I was a bit tired, and maybe that's how it impacted my viewing of it. But I just found myself a little kind of tired of Andy Hardy and tired of the Andy Hardy formula because it is the sixth film, and while they're not all identical, but they definitely have like a strict like kind of thematic structure that they all follow. They all open the same way, and you know that there's going to be one core thing that Andy learns throughout the film. And then that sends like reverberations through like the entire family and stuff. So I think I just found myself a little bit tired of Annie Hardy's shenanigans.
Yeah.
And the family just being the family as well. But we've also been watching these pretty consistently, so I think it's fair to say that we've spent a lot of time with this family in a very condensed time frame, to where I think it's probably natural that I would feel that way at some point with a 16 film franchise.
Well,
um
Fulton, I hate to break it to you, but you still got
yeah.
10 left.
I know. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, and we'll get to Spring Fever, but Spring Fever feels very different, but we'll get to that. But yeah, no, I guess just to yeah, I just I agree with the Millie subplot. I really do feel like that's the most interesting thing, because it's really the most like radically different out of all the other ones. And I'm not saying all these films have to be very, very different. I just found myself a little bit tired with the formula for this one. But I will say that I just wanted to point out a few things that I thought were really interesting when I was looking into like the making of this film. Um, and some of the like family history of Seats, the director. His son apparently created the matte shot, so his son is very influential for like filmmaking as well. And he was
Oh,
also
interesting.
the photographer for all the Billy Wilde noir films, which I think is incredibly really interesting. And I was always I wanted to do more research, but I was curious, I guess if he was ever offered the chance to direct an Andy Hardy film, I would be interested to know. But this was also the sixth highest grossing Andy Hardy film. And I think that's also kind of interesting. So I guess we'll
Yeah.
eventually see where the tipping point lies for this franchise. But um, yeah, so that was just my little bit of stuff. But yeah, no, honesty is is the best policy.
It's honesty is the
I
best
agree with the
Yeah.
policy.
film. It's
Yeah.
not that I don't agree. It's I just like, part of me almost wishes this was just a TV show. And I mean, in a lot of ways it does act like
Well,
there's that
yeah,
tension
It's certainly
there.
episodic. Yeah.
free
Yeah.
TV.
Just kind of to talk a little bit about Seitz, the director,
Hmm.
with the exception of the next film, he directs the next 9 movies in the series. Like
He actually
he's gonna
he passed away. That's the only
the only reason he
yeah.
stopped. But because it's the last 2 films I think in the series are not directed by him. But yeah, he's gonna basically just take over this franchise for the foreseeable future.
Hmm.
So I think I'm not trying to be a little bit of a downer, but I think we're in for a lot more of these, message heavy, formulaic. Now I liked this one though. I do think, especially compared to like the stupid like the stupid stakes of the last film. Like this was very easy for me to understand. The only thing I didn't like was Grace's subplot. Like her or her the sorry, the daughter subplot here
Oh,
Marion.
where she
Marion.
buys Marion. I don't know why I said Grace. Marion, when she buys the like dress, like her whole obsession with the money is the least interesting part of the movie.
Mhm.
Like I didn't understand that at all. Now I understood Andy Hardy because he's just always going to be like that.
Mhm.
And then obviously the Aunt Millie stuff is great. And even the Judge Hardy stuff
Yeah.
is pretty
A reference to last week.
the Judge Hardy stuff is pretty interesting because he is kind of stuck in this like, do I lie at one point and get all this money? Do I have to be honest? and you have these people who are out to get Judge Hardy because they want to inherit the money that might be due to them or owed to them. It's really weird how inheritance works,
Yeah,
isn't it?
they're like he's not blood related, so he can't get the money. Like if you're a dog, like because
in
the
what
whole
world does that I guess that's how it used to be, but what?
yeah, the whole reason in this film, or the whole thing is in this film that Judge Hardy is the heir of like this, he's the heir to this like family that has a lot of wealth, and the guy dies that he's getting the money from, but then he also meets his adopted son, uh, Phil Westcott, played by John King, and he's acting all like friendly to the Hardy family, but he's actually conspiring to like get the money from them somehow. Um,
Yeah,
I
and then
guess
it turns out that Judge Hardy was also adopted into the family, so he doesn't get the money, but there's only one piece of paper that proves it, and he has to make a decision if he wants to destroy the evidence or if he wants to tell the lawyers that he isn't actually able to get the money. And then Phil knows this and is trying to catch him in a lie and then put him away, and he decides to not destroy the evidence and tell the lawyers that he can't get the money, and then the money immediately goes to charity, which is kind of convenient, wouldn't you think, that the money just goes to like
just goes
a
to
good cause.
charity.
It goes
yeah.
to like a
I
children's hospital or something.
mean, it's interesting. I'm just so I don't know. I've never dealt with inheritance before.
Hmm.
It seems so weird how these things happen. But God, it just like this particular clause when someone writes their will, that's it's so weird. Like if I die, guys, just you want any of the Blu-rays, just take them. I don't care. I'm not willing anyone anything. Just take the books. Take the. Someone can take my signed Clint Eastwood Gran Torino.
Mhm.
What about your chunky
Still
feelas?
Yeah.
the chunky feelers I'm gonna be buried in, I think. Would you is there anything in a will that you guys would is there what bizarre condition would you have for for someone to claim the $300 in our bank account?
Oh,
like
well,
they have to prove what? What do they have to prove?
they have to name my favorite song.
Oh my God. Your favorites. Oh, well, I
Ooh.
guess I can't ask you because then it just gives anyone, all of our listeners could
Try to
we
guess.
could
It would
yeah,
be
we
nice to like mess with people, from beyond the
Yeah.
grave, and like do like puzzles and riddles for them to get your money.
ooh, a
Yeah,
riddle.
you
That could
just
be kind
dress
of
up as
fun.
the Riddler and get a old DV camcorder. I
Yeah.
get I guess to more better define, I guess, why I felt the way I felt with this one is I just feel like Andy Hardy has been 17 for so long and that they're
Yeah.
But
not
Fulton, it's
letting
only
him
been like 3 years, according to when these films were produced.
Well, no, you're right. He has been that age, but yeah, uh, he grows up though.
Yeah,
That's what we're about to
and
see.
that's why I like the next one more than this one because I think they actually do something a bit more like I feel like his character actually grows. Um, and we'll get to that. I was just trying to better define why I felt tired of this particular story. Um, and I guess we'll truly see what happens after Spring Fever if it's more of a return to form, which I'm anticipating it will be. But yeah.
Or I
Th-
mean, but yeah, Spring Fever sets up a potential shift in this series
Mhm.
that could go either way.
There, one
Um,
last thing before we move on to Spring Fever, because I'm very eager to talk about it. But there's this one joke in the Hardy's Ride High that I think is so funny, where Andy Hardy goes to the nightclub with Phil they go out together.
Oh, I
and
think I wrote this down. I
and
think I know
Phil
what you're saying.
yeah, and Phil offers him a drink with alcohol in it, and his dad told him that that Andy can't drink because he's underage. And so Phil is really trying to get Andy to drink, and Andy instead like comes up with this lie about why he can't drink because like alcoholism runs in the family and his dad is a raging alcoholic that like abuses everybody in the family when he gets drunk, and like that's why he can't drink. And like then that's funny, but then when he tells his dad that he lied about that so he didn't have to drink, and is like that, and then Judge Hardy's reaction is like even better, where he's just like acting like really shocked about like how Andy was like slandering his name in order to get out of doing something that his dad told him was bad. I just think that that was a really funny and creative way of showing like how Andy Hardy listens to his father about what to do.
Yeah,
Like that,
it's
and
pretty amazing.
the bit where like Mrs. Hardy loves Judge Hardy in a top hat. I thought that was pretty good, but there was
Yeah,
one
that was
line.
great. She loves the top hat. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
there's one line that if it goes, I feel like it's a through line with all our other episodes, but there's a quote from Andy Hardy in this film, and he says, "Why would I make one woman miserable when I can make multiple happy?" Which I thought was
When you
very
take out getting
interesting.
married, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
That was
Uh,
our whole Polly idea about the franchise is gaining more evidence.
and yeah, Polly's still playing games with Andy. There's still he every single time he goes over to see her, she's always got some new guy that she's hanging out with, and he gets really jealous, like in this one. But he comes back from Detroit and he makes things right, and then of course has some like zinger as the credits roll. And then of course, we're back to square one in the next film,
Mhm.
where Polly is playing games again and Andy's doing the same.
Playing games with his heart.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a great transition to get into this next film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Game matters
Oh
with the
my
heart.
God, the talk about games, yeah, of the heart. This is something else. Fulton had tipped us off that this one was supposedly going to be a little bit different.
Mhm.
Uh, um, but I was a little unprepared for just where this story was gonna go.
Like
Andy
I
Hardy age gap discourse is real.
Yeah, it's almost like y'all seen Jonathan Glazer's Birth. Has anyone seen that film?
I've actually never seen Birth. I have the DVD, and I always think
Oh
about watching
man,
it. But
it's you gotta. It's not there's some similarities between Birth and Andy Hardy gets spring fever. Just in terms of age gap. Now, birth obviously goes pretty extreme, but this is downright disturbing at times.
I mean,
It's among the more honest depictions of like juvenile lust and obsession
it
I've
would be
seen.
funny if they just called it Andy Hardy loves his teacher. Just the most
Yeah,
direct
that
translation
is
of the
that's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
God, I can't imagine. Imagine if you gave Andy Hardy Snapchat. That the debauchery that would happen. I don't even want to know.
I feel like it would like reach comedic like peak comedic levels in the same vein as when Medea uses a snap. She uses like the
Oh, and
iPhone selfie
Medea uses
camera
it
and
in the Rosa
yeah.
Parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible. Oh
um,
my God. I wish Mickey Rooney was alive. A Medea Andy Hardy crossover
oh my god,
Yeah, that
would
would
just be beautiful.
I would
Oh,
cry.
there was a short
there's
moment in
there's
time
God.
where they could have made that happen, and they didn't.
Like she steps in for the Judge Hardy like caricature, like the leading
Oh my
like
God.
learning figure and
Andy, now you gotta listen. Yeah, that would be great.
What I did
Pulls a
enjoy
gun on
about
Polly. Oh,
other than like things that we already talked about with Andy Hardy Gets Spring Fever that we enjoyed, of it just being quite a deviation from the previous films. I really enjoyed that we actually get to see Andy Hardy in school, because this guy is never in school. They're just
No,
they're just
never.
able they'll just the Hardy family is just able to go like wherever, whenever. Like, oh, let's go to a ranch in Arizona. Let's go to Detroit. Let's go to
It's the
Catalina.
judge. The judge, he runs the law. You can be like, I declare my son get out of school.
My Andy Hardy is no longer truant because I said so. I proclaim.
I do
I
declare.
declare
So
that Andy Hardy. That's what we
so
try to do, Bobby Hill.
so of course we open this movie with the courtroom, and Judge Hardy is giving a verdict to a case. I was kind of confused about this one. I don't know if you guys maybe pick something up differently from what I interpreted, but was he fining somebody for kissing a girl in a parked car?
That's what
Yes.
it sounded like, but I didn't. That was such a
$10 is kind of
weird.
hefty.
Yeah, that's
Well,
crazy. That's like so much money back
Well,
then.
like how do you get in trouble for kissing in a car? Like were they trying to push that further or like
I don't know if
imply?
that was like the age gap. I don't know.
Oh, I bet you that if we really want to read into it, he's probably kissing someone underage.
Because he said
Oh
young.
God.
He's like, you took that young girl, and I was like, this is
Like,
weird. Like, I
What
don't,
the
I don't know if that's what they were trying to say. To be
Okay,
fair,
no,
ten
that's
dollars is
probably.
too low. Put him in jail. Go to
yeah, that's what I'm
DJG.
saying. It's like
I
this
mean,
is
dude,
like
ten
I don't
dollars in
know.
1938. That's like $100.
More
Could
than
be
that.
more. Well, more than that. Yeah, $10. You can live off $10
Two
for a
hundred and
month.
$13.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
I like how like every single episode we go to the inflation calculator, because money is so instrumental in the plot of an Andy Hardy movie. Like they're always Andy Hardy's like, "Can I borrow $5? I got fined $10." Like there's just all this
I,
transactions.
I have a
Yeah.
theory that I think the current president probably went to Andy Hardy movies growing up
I like
and
that.
was like, he was like, I like that, but what if we raised all the prices? What
In
if
a
I
really
made
long time, I'm gonna
inflation?
raise the price.
I'm gonna that $10 is gonna be $213. I think I don't know. I would imagine this is not the president's favorite Andy Hardy movie, given it the plot of this one is like it is mainly just about Andy Hardy. Like he
Yeah.
is like this is really his movie in a way that's pretty compelling because it is like the first time we're really seeing Andy Hardy grow up.
Mhm.
And Rooney's really good in this movie. Like he's very convincing
Mhm.
at being obsessed with his drama teacher. Um like it's funny and it's compelling. What did you all like? I guess we should kind of go over the plot here. I mean, the love interest starts when there is a substitute teacher who comes in for the last few weeks of school to teach a drama course, or they're in a drama course. Did you pick up on that line that the teacher says when she's like, "I see you have completed all the curriculum for the rest of the year," and I was like, "So like what? Like,
Yeah, they're
is
just
was this a
Huh.
yeah? Like, do they do anything else but this, or is this like all they're doing?"
I, I don't know.
I
Like their teacher is sick, I believe. So
Mhm.
that's why they send in Rose,
Rose,
who's
that's right.
who played by Helen Gilbert, who's the drama teacher that just finished at like
College.
college. Yeah, and so she's
And
like this is
she's
her like first.
23.
Yeah, this is her like first teaching job, and then immediately Andy Hardy is smitten.
Smitten. All the boys are smitten, but
All the
he's really smitten. And then they have a assignment to write a play, and then they would choose a play to do from one of the students as the final play of the year. And they choose Andy Hardy's play, which is
really racist.
it's pretty
Yeah.
racist. It's pretty almost amazingly racist. Like it's like I mean, there's that great joke when he's writing about what is it? Uh where's that place set? It's
I know it's
in
like volcanoes
Tahiti. It's in
and
Tahiti.
yeah.
Tahiti, that's right. And there's this argument, and he's like, "Are there any volcanoes in Tahiti?" And they're like yelling back and forth, and they can't figure out like what is accurate and what is not. the no, like I mean, I will say I'm gonna give this movie a lot of credit for not using blackface. Like I was fully expecting there to be some pretty ridiculous costumes for the quote like natives that are depicted in the play.
It
And
was
they just give them hula skirts. Like that's
and it
it.
was just
Like it's really
Polly doing an offensive voice.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that voice is I didn't know her voice could get more annoying, and then that happened, and I was like, "Oh no. Oh
Um
no."
Nonetheless, since it is the 30s in Idaho, nobody has any problem with this play. And Andy's
Nope.
play that he writes wins, and they decide to do a production for his play, which is kind of similar to the plot. Well, there are some similarities to the plot of Joe versus the Volcano, which I noticed,
Yeah.
the Tom Hanks and Meg
Well,
Ryan movie.
I thought you were
Well,
gonna
the
say
whole
Romeo and Juliet, which is what the movie wants us to think.
No. I mean, the whole jumping in the volcano thing reminded me immediately of Joe versus the Volcano, an underrated Tom Hanks film, one of my favorites.
I need to see it still.
Much
Can you
better
fly
than
a
Andy.
plane and Sully make an appearance in
Well, like
Joe
I
versus the
said,
Volcano?
Cody, we were talking the other day. Like I rewatched Sully the other day or the other month, and I was like, I didn't like it as much. Maybe I wasn't
Ooh,
in the best headspace. I was a little tired,
boo. That's horrible. Horrible.
but
I will not hear this song. I'm leaving. The
no,
Sully
no.
slander is not cool.
We
It's
still have to
not
talk about
cool.
Andy Hardy and how he gets spring fever.
I so is spring fever. I always thought like spring fever is that has that always been a love term?
I
I
You
think
like
always associated spring
doesn't it have
fever with
something to
like
do with like
love?
spring, like animals mate in spring, they get like spring fever, and that leads them to like be drawn to,
I
mate with
get
other animals.
I got some spring fever over here.
Yeah.
Fucking allergies. Oh, are we cursing on this? We haven't been, but I said it, so
Yeah, I
sorry.
mean
I think
it's
we've
Sorry,
been cursing, I
yeah, we've
listeners.
think,
been
every once
cursing,
in a
yeah.
while.
I'm trying to keep it PG.
Explicit.
That
We're
that
trying
was
to get that E.
PG-13. We can get one in. That was the first one of the
Yeah.
episode. So
So we're
actually, I think
PG-13,
now you can get up to 3 in movies. I saw a movie the other day. I have 3 of them. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
surprised at some PG-13 movies that I've seen and how they're
you
just
can
able
get
to
away
say,
with it.
yeah.
Well, it's kind of dumb. It's like, but it's just words, you know.
Yeah.
But Andy Harvey would never, ever
He'd
say
never
the F
curse.
word. He would never
No.
curse.
He would
I bet you he will in the last one. I bet he's gonna say like,
What if that's
"Damn,
like the closing zinger? Like
Franklin, my dear." I don't. Yeah, that would be great. Oh man, I'm dying to talk about the last one because I read about something that happens. I was like, "We're in for a
I
treat, boys. We're in for a treat."
I can't wait. I hope that I really hope there's this one scene in Andy Hardy Gets Spring Fever that I was like, this is one of the best scenes from just a technical standpoint in this entire franchise. And it's that scene where class ends and it's dark. Well, class
Oh
ends and
yeah.
everybody leaves, and his drama teacher, Rose, she turns off the lights and she goes to look out the window and she doesn't realize that Andy Hardy's there. And there's like this amazing like tracking shot from behind Andy as he's like walking up to her and talking, and she gets like shocked, and it's like is the shadows are really great, and then like the room is only lit from the window. And I just thought that it was like
It's pretty
really
striking.
impressive and very striking compared to anything else that we've seen
I
in
also
these movies.
noticed like a lot of, just to build off that, like a lot of the backdrops that are used, like in a lot of the windows, they look so beautiful, but it also like I feel like this film feels a lot more grounded than the previous ones. Like it feels like it was like there's that scene in the beginning when like Judge Hardy is driving through the town and the whole town is under construction because they're building roads and everything. But our Andy's just like running by and jumping over everything. Like it feels like it was on, I mean, more often I would have to imagine it was on a studio backlot, but it doesn't feel like it was on a stage or anything, how I feel like a lot of the interiors feel. So this one just felt really grounded. I mean, due to the weird subject matter, but also like I feel like the way that it was filmed, a different approach was taken. Um, but I will say this too, which I thought was kind of interesting. But the reason Seats didn't come back was because he was finishing another film called 6,000 Enemies at the time. So they brought on W.S. Van Dyke, and just like what you were saying with that kind of dark interior, like I feel like the film is very visually dark. And I found this person named Cliff Albert Ali Purity. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And he wrote about this film and was saying like it's the most visually dark Andy Hardy film. Like you see him in the darkness kind of sulking more than any other film. And
Any of the other ones too.
apparently the
Yeah.
studio really did not enjoy what he did and where Andy Hardy was being taken, and apparently he was taken off the picture because they thought it was like too dark.
And
But I
we'll link
will,
that piece in the
yeah,
description
I was
of this
gonna
episode,
say,
because I would he did a
It's
really good
great.
job
yeah.
writing
And he's written on
just
all the Andy Hardy films too, I believe. And he's just really insightful. He does really, really good research. But I just feel like that was pretty good to mention, just kind of why someone else was chosen, but also the reception to his decisions behind the camera. And
Mhm.
I also think it's very interesting. The reason why I like this one is I feel like it's in line with why I liked Out West, the aspects that I liked of Out West, where I feel like you're actually seeing him grow and you're actually seeing him be very emotive, um, and expressive with his acting as well. But I also like that like modernization is again at the fringes of the film, where like the US Army is like doing this really quick construction job in Carville to get the roads in place as a part of the highway system that's happening in America. You know, for the to benefit the military as well. But I like how we're seeing Carville change in real time as well, due to it being a series and everything.
The
Yeah,
Hardy subplot in this one is pretty funny.
yeah, he gets scammed by like uh being told that there's aluminum on the land that he bought for the aqueduct. So the aqueduct comes back, at least
First time in a while that we've seen the aqueduct come back.
yeah.
That was
But it
amazing.
comes back, baby.
I
And
was fine. I was like,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah, I
yes.
was
It all
cheering.
comes back to the aqueduct.
But they tell him that that the soil is aluminum rich, in the land that he owns, and that if he would be interested in like selling it, so then they could turn, and if he would be interested in starting an aluminum company, so they could begin they could start opening an
Mining
aluminum
it,
plant
yeah.
there. And he gets people in Carvel on the board, and they all give money to these businessmen, because he sends the soil sample back to a company that tells them how much aluminum is in the soil, and they say there's like 8% aluminum in the soil, and he gets really happy and he thinks, oh, I'm gonna be rich, we're gonna like make so much money, and this is gonna benefit the city as well. And it turns out that like soil has 8% aluminum by default.
Like
And
all soil everywhere.
yeah, and so then all the people that they invested the money to just like up and leave town and like take all their money with them and stuff. So it's pretty funny. Like it's like the first time that like Judge Hardy kind of gets played. You know, he like almost gets played sometimes, like in the previous film in The Hardy's Ride High, but this one like he actually gets swindled, which is kind of
But
interesting.
what I don't understand is like he has this meeting and he's like going to tell all the investors the truth. And all the investors are like, yeah, we knew what was going on the entire time. And I was like, why didn't y'all
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
him? Like, I don't understand. I did not understand that at
Are there
all.
like also like no like scientists in
In Carvel.
Carvel? Like, is there
Yeah,
nobody that would be
no
just like,
one
actually,
understood.
Carvel's not a real, it's not a real like town, is it?
no, it's fake. It's a fictional
Okay, I
town.
was gonna say
I
it'd be quite
do.
poetic if we could record the last episode in Carvel.
Go
Oh,
to
we all
Idaho.
go to
Yeah.
Idaho, get some potatoes. Uh, I think they eat baked potatoes in Idaho. So like he gets financially saved because the town needs to use the like mulch, right? That's on or no,
Yeah.
not the mulch. What
Yeah.
is it? The
Like
yeah,
the
is it mulch or
mulch
it's
or pebbles or the
Oh, it was gravel.
rocks.
pebbles,
Gravel.
Gravel.
gravel,
Yeah.
gravel. They need to use the gravel on the land. So he has the town buy the land from him. But like he implies that they make a 10% profit on just selling the land, which they raise $17,000. So that's like another additional 1,700. That's like it's a lot of money for this like land that he's trying to get rid of really cheaply.
Hmm.
And I also was like, how is there's not a conflict of interest? Like a judge can't
That was
sell
my
his
big thing.
like that, how is that honest? Like that's not honest. That's just swindling the taxpayers out of money to cover for your loss.
Good old Judge Hardy.
Good old Judge Hardy, a real man of the people.
I
Also,
can't
are there
believe that his economic situation was threatened once again.
I
It's
know he is so
great.
bad with that man is so bad with money. It's so funny. Wait, are there police officers in this city? Like why didn't he like call a detective when
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. There's
he maybe he doesn't trust the cops. Maybe
I
they're
feel
like
like
not you
there
can't
could have
just
been
take
something legally
30
that he
or
could
like
have done.
$17,000 and run away.
Yeah.
Dude, I should have lived in the 30s. I could have that would have been great. You just take money, never get caught, no one
so
files anything.
going back to Andy Hardy's relationship with his drama teacher. There's this crazy scene as the relationship continues to grow as he does more things with her, like talks to her after class and everything. He then walks her home and asks her if she will marry him. And it's just like a crazy scene, like just the fact that he just asks her that as a 17-year-old in high school.
And she's like
3.
23.
Yeah. And
Just for context.
then she tries to let him down easy, like she tells him like, no, I can't marry you. She's like, you'll find out tomorrow when the play happens, when it premieres, and I'll explain the rest. But Andy, of course, being the impressionable young man that he is, doesn't understand that that's what she means, and he thinks that she's gonna marry him. And so then he gets really excited and he tells his dad that he's gonna get married. And then they do, the classic Judge Hardy and Andy Hardy man to man talk.
Mhm.
And he doesn't really take his dad's advice at all. And then next day, the play goes on, and Andy finds out that Miss Rose's fiance is at the play and realizes that it was her former high school teacher. And he's so angry about it. And then there's the final scene in the film where he's angrily supposed to be talking, because he plays the lead in the film as well as wrote the play. He's talking to the love interest in the play angrily about how he doesn't want to be with her anymore, but he's looking off stage directly into Miss Rose's eyes as he's like really angry and so kind of broken at that moment. And that was pretty crazy, powerful scene. Like, I've never seen Andy Hardy so angry.
It's
And
pretty
then in that
emotional,
scene,
and the audience reacts. They know what's up. But that's a powerful scene.
and then she explains to him after the play that she had feelings for her teacher in college, and she had to wait until she graduated for her to marry him. Or I guess they're soon to be married since they're engaged.
Yeah.
Which I just think is a really funny takeaway, is like, this is actually a perfectly fine relationship to have. You just got to be patient.
It's so weird. Like,
Nothing
this movie is
wrong.
so, because like my other thing that I thought was really weird was there's a scene where Judge Hardy is going to check in with one of the investors that I think is like runs the local bank in town. And while he's there, he sees Miss Rose, and he's like, "Can I have a word with you, Miss Rose? Like, whatever you do, just don't break my son's heart." And I was like, "I- "What?" I don't know. It's so bizarre. It's really such a weird film. Mhm.
Well, because he knows that the relationship can't work, but he
Mhm.
also
Yeah.
knows how in love Andy Hardy is. I mean, Andy Hardy is so. This is not like Holly or Lana Turner or any of these other girls who he's fallen in love with. He
Mhm.
is in love in this
Yeah.
series, like in this particular film. Like this is the woman he wants to marry, this drama teacher. And I respect the movie for saying no, no, Andy, you can't. Some things are not meant to be, and this relationship would be wrong.
Mhm.
But it just hurts him so much, and it is hard to watch him be heartbroken. But you know, that's the thing. Like a lot of people, like kids are gonna I mean, May, December, they fall in love with their teachers. And if that happens, if that those people get married, it's not cool. It's not good. So this movie would be an interesting double feature, May, December.
With Todd Haynes made December.
I think Todd Haynes probably watched this a few times and for inspiration. I
Perhaps.
don't see I think this is a pretty I honestly wasn't sure where this movie was gonna land. Like I kind of thought they were gonna at least kiss. Like
Yeah.
Cause like that opening scene where they see each other, they are darting eyes. Well, Andy's just staring at her, and she's
like she's flattered. I mean,
yeah,
like look, and he's about to be 18 and she's 23. I know that's an age gap, but it's not like an insane age gap in the sense that if she's 23 and a 17-year-old boy is flirting with you, I I'm not saying I could understand, but I would say I think a lot of 23-year-old people would be like, you know what? I'll entertain this. Why not?
mhm,
Seems harmless, but I don't think she realizes just how in love Andy Hardy is with her,
yeah,
and that's what that's what makes it really like that scene that Chris was talking about really hits because of his passion for his teacher. I don't. It's so strange. This is such
Yeah.
a different type of Andy Hardy movie.
Like I agree
Because
with you. Like I was really nervous about where this was going
where
to
they were gonna
go.
go.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna get a little more like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah. I wonder even what Seats thought about this film because it is really, I feel like it does push things in a different way than like, I don't think Andy would have been mad or angry. He just would have been like, "Oh, well, that happened," and then he'd go back to
Yeah.
Polly or
No,
something
but
like that.
this film, it's like the end of the world when it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially even how that scene's like lit and it's in like that dark garden
Mm-hmm.
that at Miss Rose's house and stuff. It's it's really quite a unique film. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this ranks. Like because we're gonna definitely do by the time we finish all these movies, we're gonna do the ranking of all these films and where they stack up.
Can we do like a
Because
tier list?
yeah, we'll make an Andy Hardy tier list because I think for me, Love Finds Andy Hardy still is definitely
Still
number
number
one, but
one.
I think
But
so too, yeah.
this might be my second favorite. Like this
Yeah.
is
It's just it's the most different. Like I just feel like they actually, I don't know, but it's weird. Anyways, sorry.
No,
Which is
it's
why
interesting stuff.
yeah. But I guess that's probably all we have for this episode. Would you say, guys?
I would say so.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, next week we'll be talking about two other Andy Hardy films. 1939's Judge Hardy and Son, directed by George B. Seitz. The King is Back. And 1940's Andy Hardy Meets Debutante, which is directed by George B. Seitz as well. And it's something that really irks me about this title is why isn't it Andy Hardy Meets a Debutante? Why is
Yeah.
it Andy
It
Hardy
just
Meets
meets
Debutante?
I don't know. That one's I don't know. I'm a little worried, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I mean, that one, Judy Garland is back and Andy Hardy Meets Debutante. So that's what we have to look
Okay,
forward
that's
to.
exciting. Because we love Judy Garland on this pod.
I'm a little worried what they're gonna do with it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I have a
Well,
feeling it's probably gonna be uncomfortable.
yeah.
So
Well, on that note, stay wavy.
stay safe.
And keep on keeping on.
Mickey Rooney!
Hi, Millhouse. The studio sent me to talk to you, being a former child star myself and the #1 box office draw from 1939 through 1940.
Wow, spanning 2 decades.